Here I go. Got another reply. Well, I had another reply. This is 11 months old and I didn't even reply. I'm sorry. I just don't want to reply to these things. Not that I don't want to. I think it's just that I already did. I wrote a whole book about it, but I don't want you guys to have to buy the book to hear my replies. I'd rather just give you this stuff for free if I could. So I'm doing a lot of videos, or I'm trying to do more. But either way, okay, enough of me making excuses. Let's go with it. I got walking right there, 3851. Whoever you are. Nice to meet you. Thank you for posting. You start by saying, I don't understand your question. How do you not understand that clobber question? That's kind of confusing to me, I think. But I'll go into further because the next thing you say is, how do you define abuse? All right, here's something I can work on. I'm going to assume you're a Christian because you make some more questions about Jesus after this. So how do I define abuse? I would recommend watching a video I do from when I spoke at the Veg Fest in Orlando. I talked briefly. I go into much more detail in other places, and I'll go over just briefly here. But I would say if God gave an animal wings, he wants that animal to use those wings, or at least be able to open them up. If we crowd 4 chickens in a cage that's so small they never get the ability to even spread one wing, that's abuse. I think if God made animals with the desire to lay out in the sun, but we cage them in factory farms, which is where 98% of our food comes from in America, maybe 95% depending on what reports you read, but it's definitely up there in the 90s. If God made animals with a desire to lay in the sun and we cage them indoors and deny them that, that's abuse. If an animal has legs to run, it should be able to run. If an animal likes to have interactions because it's a social animal with its own pack, like a wolf or something like that, not that we eat wolves, but please, I'm just trying to give you an idea of what I consider abuse. If we deny animals all these natural instincts that God gave them, that's abuse. I don't know how it can be anything other than abuse. Now, another way to look at it, what's abuse to an animal, because you're saying, how do I define abuse? In America, we have a love for dogs. I don't like making the connection between dogs and farm animals. And I'm calling them farm animals because I'm using your language. I don't want to use the vegan terms for this kind of thing because it only muddies the water, makes it hard to have conversation. So your terminology, if we treated dogs the way we treat farm animals, we would go to jail for abuse. I mean, if I took a dog, locked it up in a tiny cage and fed it all kinds of growth hormones to grow big and fat quicker than it's supposed to be, and started slaughtering them at just a few months old so I could eat their body parts, I'd get the police called on me. If you and I were buddies, you probably wouldn't even want me to come over to your house to hang out. You'd like, I don't want to even know a person like you that does that. If I, did the things that are involved in artificial insemination, look it up, it's what the Bible considers sin. That would be abuse. So again, if we are taking an animal that God designed to experience a 25-year lifespan and cut it down to just 8 months, a year and a half, then yeah, that's abuse. So there, I think that's enough to at least lay the groundwork for what I think is abuse. Look into some of those things, but I would wonder what you think is abuse. I mean, don't you think that genetically modifying a chicken so it lays an egg every day is abusive when God only wanted it to do one a month, or maybe a few at one time and then not again for months at all? Because it's a painful experience. Okay, chickens don't like, oh, that felt good. No, that's painful. Yet we modify them to do it every single day so we can eat eggs. So yeah, I would say that's, when we take baby cows away from their mommy cows, I sound like I'm talking to a first grade class. When we take baby calves away from their mothers just so we can drink the milk, and then we shoot the babies in the head because we don't want the babies to get the milk, us humans want that milk? Come on. How do you not define that as abuse? All right, so that's how I'd answer that. The rest of your questions, I don't think I really want to get into because this will be a 45-minute to an hour-long video just on yours alone. But please go look at that Orlando Veg Fest talk I did. Look at a few of my other videos. At least you'll know. Unless you really don't care and you just wanted to say that to me and, whatever. But you asked me, you said, so I'm curious as a follower of Jesus, how do you reconcile that? That's how I reconcile that. I hope that answers your question a little bit.